What's happening, everyone? Here's your boy Jordan, back with another Jordan Peterson video. This is Michael Dyson on white privilege. This one is probably going to be one of the most exciting ones I'm going into, man. I quite like talking about racism, the whole debate of white privilege, and, you know, does it actually have a mass effect in today's day and age, or is it just a fraud? Is it just false? If you want my opinion, I'll give you my opinion at the end of this video. But without further ado, let's just get straight into this video.
Saying this, the great American philosopher Beyonce Knowles said that it has been said that racism is so American that if you challenge racism, you look like you're challenging America. We are challenging inequality. We are challenging the refusal to see me as an individual. When we overcome that, have at it, we're all on equal plane.
I think it's fine. I think it's good.
The pot is getting stirred here.
So I've got a couple of questions.
So let's your side's folks. I'm going to go to Jordan, then to you,
Let's
Michelle.
assume for a moment that I've benefited from my white privilege. Okay, so let's assume that. That's fine. That's what you would say. So, so let's say, here, let's get precise about this, okay?
Was that very individual of you?
This guy in church or something.
So let's say, here, let's get precise about this, okay?
Was that very individual of you?
Let's get precise about this, okay?
Let's get precise.
To what degree is my present level of attainment or achievement a consequence of my white privilege? And I don't mean sort of. I mean, do you mean 5%? Do you mean 15%? Do you mean 25%? Do you mean 75%? And what do you propose I do about it? How about a tax? How about a tax that's like specialized for me so that I can account for my damn privilege, so that I can stop hearing about it? Now, let's get precise about one other thing, okay? We'll get precise about one other thing. Now,
Precise.
Yeah, precise, yes. And so, if we can agree, and we haven't, that the left...
Do you know what? Yeah, listen. The video camera doesn't lie. Obviously, I'm a black guy. Mixed race. I'm still going to be seen as a black guy. I'm not going to be seen as a white... Listen, I understand what Michael Dyson is saying. Like, white privilege. I don't even know. You can't even put a percentage on it. I don't even think they have statistics on how many white men get more jobs than black men. I mean, there probably will be a higher rate. I don't know that for a fact, though. However, does it always necessarily come down to being white, being black? In this day and age, I don't think it does. 40, 50 years ago, yeah, to some degree. 70, 80 years ago, without a shadow of a doubt. All right, white privilege on my days, 100%. But in this world, in today's society, there is no way. Like, you look at, I think there's a higher percentage rate of Indian males and females that go to university or college. So the percentage is much higher than white people. Percentage is higher than black people. So and listen, they're obviously not, that's not a job, but the opportunities now is that you can, you know, anyone can pursue is unlimited. Unlimited. It doesn't matter the color of your skin. So to one degree, I understand what Michael Dyson is saying. However, let's be precise about this. What percentage of Jordan Peterson's white privilege is accountable for his success and to where he's got to? Because you look at it, it could be 2%, it could be 3%, it could be 5%. I wouldn't say it's any more than 2 or 3% in my opinion, especially in today's world. He's got to where he's got to through his psychological state, his IQ, and what the choices and the decisions he made when he was younger. That's my opinion on it.
If can go too far, which it clearly can, then how would my worthy opponents precisely define when the left that they stand for has gone too far? You didn't like equity, equality of outcome. I think that's a great marker. But if you have a better suggestion and won't sidestep the question, so let's figure out how I can dispense with my white privilege, and so that you can tell me when the left has gone too far, since they clearly can. And that's what this debate is about political correctness. It's about the left going too far. And I think it's gone too far in many ways. And I'd like to figure out exactly how and when so the reasonable left could make its ascendance again and we could quit all this nonsense.
Okay, Michelle, go for it.
Do you mind if I answer, Stephen? I will answer you, but I just want to answer Stephen Fife first, because you talked about, this is how we got Trump, and this is the failure of the left. And so I'm a journalist. I went to a ton of Trump rallies during the campaign in different parts of the country, and you're right. Everywhere I went, I heard complaints about political correctness. Far more than I heard complaints about, say, NAFTA. But when you asked people what they meant by political correctness, they called a woman they worked with girl, and she got mad at them. And they could, you couldn't in public wonder aloud whether the president of the United States was really a Muslim. They didn't like that they couldn't make gay jokes anymore. And so on the one hand, you're right, and I've written about this. I think that when you try to, that when people...
I mean, that's true, right? Like, it has to be fair for everyone, man. Like, for me, gay jokes, man, like, we kind of got to get rid of that now. Like, 10 years ago, or when I was growing up, you had shows like Little Britain, Come Fly With Me. There were too many shows, man, where there were a lot of homosexual jokes involved in those television programs, and it's like, well, we kind of have to batter the same way as we've done with racism. I mean, you go back 20, 30 years ago, maybe 40 years ago, there were jokes on black people, Indian people on television programs. So it's like, because they've stopped that, we kind of have to stop the homosexual jokes now as well, which is fair enough.
People have these prejudices and you try to suppress them. It can create a kind of dangerous counter-reaction. But I also think that, what they were reacting to, again, to go back to the title of this debate, what they called political correctness, the fact that they had to have this urbane black president who they felt talked down to them, which is really what they meant. I don't see a way around that, because that is, like I said, that's progress. So to go to the question of when the left goes too far, I mean, to me, it's pretty easy. Violence and censorship, right? I'm against violence and I'm against censorship. But I also, looking around the world right now, when the idea that there is this, I understand again that there is like a problem of kind of left-wing annoyance, right? There's a lot of things that kind of random people on the internet in particular are able to swarm individuals and turn kind of stray remarks into social media campaigns, and this is often conflated with political correctness, and it's a bad phenomenon. I wish there was a way to put an end to it. I don't think there is no way to put an end to it simply by having kind of reasonable liberals or reasonable socialists denounce it, because it's just a kind of awful phenomenon of modern life. And if you want to have a debate about whether social media is terrible for democracy, I will be on the yay side. But right now, where I really disagree, there's a couple places I really disagree.
Pick one, and then I'm going to go to Michael.
But the idea that the radical left poses a greater threat than the radical right, when you see actual fascism ascendant all over the world, strikes me as something that you can literally only believe if you spend your life on college campuses.
Mm-hmm. So, Mike, I want to come to you on, great, Michelle, on Jordan's point about how does he, in a sense, get an equal voice in this debate back if it is implied that his participation brings with it this baggage of white privilege that doesn't allow him to see clearly the issues that are before us.
But that is to be complicit in the very problem itself, terminologically. You're beginning at a point that's already productive and controversial. You're saying, how can he get his equality back? Who are you talking about? Jordan Peterson, trending #1 on Twitter? Jordan Peterson, with an international bestseller? I want him to tweet something out about me in my book. Jordan Peterson, right? This is what I'm saying to you. Why the rage, bruh? You're doing well, but you're a mean, mad white man, and you're going to get us right. And I have never seen so much whine and snowflaking. There's enough wine in here to start a vineyard. And what I'm saying to you empirically and precisely, when you ask the question about white privilege, the fact that you ask it in the way you did, dismissive, pseudoscientific, non-empirical, and without justification, the truth is that white privilege doesn't act according to quantifiable segments. It's about the degree to which we are willing as a society to grapple with the ideals of freedom, justice, and equality upon which it's based. Number two, what's interesting to me, you're talking about not having a collective identity. What do you call a nation? Are you Canadian? Are you Canadian by yourself? Are you an individual, or are you part of a group? When America formed its union, it did so in opposition to another group. So the reality is that those who are part of group identities in politics deny the legitimacy and validity of those groups and the fact that they have been created thusly, and then have resentment against others. All I'm asking for is the opportunity. The quotation you talk about, the difference between equality of outcome and equality of opportunity, that's a staid and retried argument, hackneyed phrase derived from the halcyon days of the debate over affirmative action. Are you looking for outcomes that can be determined equally, or are you looking for opportunity? If you free a person after a whole long time of oppression and say now you are free to survive, if you have no skills, if you have no quantifiable means of existence, what you have done is liberated them into oppression. And all I'm suggesting to you, Lyndon Baines Johnson, one of our great presidents, said, if you start a man in a race 100 years behind, it is awfully difficult to catch up. So I don't think Jordan Peterson is suffering from anything except an exaggerated sense of entitlement and resentment, and his own privilege is invisible to him, and it's manifest with lethal intensity and ferocity right here on stage.
Jordan, I'm going to have to let you respond to that if you wish.
Drop the mic! Bro, I want to hear what Jordan Peterson got to say about that, man. Listen, I don't disagree with Michael Dyson, though. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you. Let's just listen to what Jordan Peterson has to say, man.
Well, what I derive from that series of rebuttals, let's say, is twofold. The first is that saying that the radical left goes too far when they engage in violence is not a sufficient response by any stretch of the imagination, because there are sets of ideas in radical leftist thinking that led to the catastrophes of the 20th century, and that was at the level of idea, not at the level of violent action. It's a very straightforward thing to say you're against violence. It's like being against poverty. It's like, you know, generically speaking, decent people are against poverty and violence. It doesn't address the issue in the least. And with regards to my privilege or lack thereof,
100%.
I mean, I'm not making the case that I haven't had advantages in my life and disadvantages in my life like most people. You don't know anything about my background or where I came from, and it doesn't matter to you because fundamentally I'm a mean white man. That's a hell of a thing to say in a debate.
Let me just say,
Very, very brief, because I want to move on to men and women.
Wow.
the mean mad white comment was not predicated upon my historical excavation of your past. It's based upon the evident vitriol with which you speak and the denial of a sense of equanimity among combatants in an argument. So I'm saying again, you're a mean mad white man, and the viciousness is evident.
Okay.
Ah, man, that was tense, boy. That was so tense. If you want my opinion on it, guys, listen, I can't speak on behalf of poverty and oppression, and because I'll be honest, like, I've always been privileged. Like, listen, if you've got a roof over your head, whether you're American, from the UK, Europe, doesn't matter where you're from, you've got a roof over your head, you're eating 3 meals a day, you can commute to places. I mean, you're pretty privileged. So I can't speak for poverty. Like, I feel like the only people that can speak about poverty and about oppression and about privilege, well, not privilege, but being underprivileged, are those people that live it. and have come from it. You know, I feel like, and I understand what Michael Dyson is saying. Like, I don't know Jordan Peterson's background, but I'm pretty sure he was probably middle class. Probably come from a middle class background, had a decent upbringing. Okay, we all go through trials and tribulations and knockdowns. You know, bad things happen in our life. We meet bad people. We make bad friends. We make bad decisions. Listen, that is the norm. That's the norm, man. Like, that's what most people go through. Most people follow that path and go that direction. Some of them end up in prison. Some of them end up dead. Some of them end up, you know, on the streets. If you make the choice to change your world, get out of that life, you end up getting a job. You end up owning a business, and from there on, it depends how far you take it and how successful you go with it. That all deters and depends on your decisions and your choices in your own lives. But I understand completely what Michael's saying, man. Like, don't get me wrong, Jordan Peterson does speak for a lot of men on his behalf and a lot of people, and he is, I would say, one of the political leaders, because of his following on Twitter, his following on YouTube. I mean, he's a massive role model to young men, women, everyone, most people that look up to him, right? So I understand, man. Like, it's hard for him to come out and come out with all these statements and say all these things. And that mad white man comment, all right, bringing that up in a debate is a little bit too far for me. I wouldn't have said, because if he had said he's a mad black man, or you would seen all the black people be like, oh shit, what? But he didn't mean it in that way. He meant it in another technical term way, which I'm not going to go into. But Jordan Peterson's comeback, I mean, I totally agree with Jordan Peterson. No, I don't know his background. But I agree, most of the time I agree with Jordan Peterson's comments, because he does, he is honest, he is truthful with his statements. You know, especially like talking about the political left and all that stuff. Like, he does speak facts in his interviews and his, you know, and his debates. I'm not going to go into that again, because it will be a whole bloody hour of discussing Jordan Peterson and, you know, what I think of him. But I feel like that debate was probably one of the best I've seen so far. Someone that really challenged him with intelligence, with direct, should I say, direct arguments, direct things that are true about oppression, about the left. You know, it was such a good debate. And I must say, Michael Dyson, I like Michael Dyson, man. He speaks facts as well. But I feel like, again, unless you come from oppression, unless you come from a place of poverty, or, you know, an area where you have been underprivileged because of white privilege, or whatever you want to call it, then, you know, it's hard to speak for those people. And do I believe in white privilege? In this day and age, I personally think if your intellect is high, you're intelligent, you know your shit, I think you have the same opportunity and choices as everyone else. I don't think it solely comes down to being black or white or brown. I don't think that's the case. I feel like if you want an opportunity, or strive for an opportunity or a job, then you need to know your shit. You need to know your shit better than the next man or the next woman. You can't expect just to turn up to an interview and expect to get the job because of your looks and your race. We're not living, especially if you're white, like we're not living in 1950s anymore, where you can just turn up to an interview and depending on your looks and what your social status, you get the job. Like, okay, don't get me wrong, attraction can play a part in it, especially attaining a job, especially in the female sector. However, today's day and age, you better know your shit before you turn up to the interview. All right, it's got nothing to do with race, in my opinion. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed that video. Keep the comments up, guys. You know, make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. We're almost at the 10,000 subscriber mark, man. Like I said, I'm going to get a bottle of champagne or wine. We're going to celebrate on live. But if you're not subscribed yet, make sure you do subscribe. And if you're commenting on the videos below, do not worry. I will reply to your comments also. Guys, you have your boy Jordan, and I will see you in the next video.